General Tire Championship standings for the ARCA Menards Series. Michael Self, Christian Eckes, 1-2 in the standings, but is it a two-horse race?
Eckes chipped off 35 points just one race ago. If he does that two more times, if he ties Michael Self, it has to go to a tiebreaker. So if he knocks off half of those points today, man, are we in for a dogfight at Lucas Oil Raceway in a couple weeks.
Hey, Eckes missed this race in the springtime because he was ill, actually had food poisoning, but it's been an up and down year. Yes, he does have 3 victories, but Christian Eckes has had some troubles as well. That missed race at Salem, trouble at Talladega, plenty of disasters for that Venturini Motorsports number 15.
They overcome these challenges, but unfortunately it's cost them, and when it comes to race wins and racing for victories, they've had mechanical issues, and this unfortunate incident at Elko Speedway cost them a bunch of spots on the racetrack.
Christian Eckes, one to keep an eye on. Let's meet up with a third member of our broadcast team, Alex Hayden, who spoke to Christian Eckes earlier.
Starting in the 6th spot tonight, Christian Eckes. And, well, Christian, there's a championship to be won. You got a bit of a points deficit to try to climb out of, but this track is tough. It's got a lot of history behind it. How is this track in your favor, though?
Yeah, it's honestly not one of my favorites, but, it's always cool to come here with all the history. And, there's so many winners, and, I'm lucky to be a part of them. And hopefully I'm on that list twice tonight. But, I think we got a pretty fast JBL Camry, and, it's super cool to have our throwback here for Bill Venturini. And especially we got all these cool hats and everything. And, hopefully we can get a win for him and kind of jumpstart our championship hunts a little bit more.
It's been a long weekend already. Had a fantastic run in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series for NASCAR out at Las Vegas Motor Speedway with a top 5 finish there. But you got to fly all night. You come over here to Indiana now to go racing mentally with that championship. How important is it to get as good a finish and potentially that second win here?
Yeah, it's huge. It's kind of crunch time now. I got 3 races left and 70 points. So I think the max you can make up is 30 points if you win. We didn't get the pole, so I guess it's 25. But, we just got to do what we can do here. And like I said, I think we got a pretty fast car. We just got to kind of maintain here and, see what we have and hopefully be there at the end.
It's all about strategy tonight and saving those General Tires. They're going to play a big role. Christian Eckes qualified 6th.
Well, I think the math is a little bit different for Christian Eckes. 70 points behind, 3 races to go. Does he have a shot at the title?
Absolutely does. 2 more races to go. He's really good at Lucas Oil Raceway. Michael Self's really good at Kansas Speedway. They both have a win here in the last 3 races at Salem Speedway. So I think the evenness, one team has to, make a big move, a big challenge. It could be a pit stop at the right time. I think one team has to make a bold move, and this points championship is wide open.
The CGS Imaging 4 Crown Series is a series within a series here in ARCA. It all kicked off at Talladega. Todd Gilliland with the win. But this is a 4-race series featuring 4 different disciplines of racetracks.
Talladega, Todd Gilliland went to victory lane there. Michael Self dominated at Michigan. And who'd have thunk, leading second half of the race, Michael Self would also win on the designated dirt track, the Dirt Mile in Springfield, Illinois. He went to victory lane there.
The final race is tonight here at Salem Speedway, and Michael Self also holds the lead in this series.
Yeah, 5 points, race points only for this CGS Imaging 4 Crown. 35 points, that's 7 positions on the racetrack. Travis Braden still has a shot at this. So does Joe Graff. They're tied for 3rd after those first 3 races in these rounds.
And Brett Holmes is always good here at Salem Speedway. The point leader in this series is Michael Self. Alex Hayden standing by with him.
Qualifying 4th, Michael Self. Good track position to start tonight's 200-lap race, but more importantly, there's a championship to be won and just a handful of races to go. How does the mindset come into play now, given the fact that you've got a slim points lead?
It's just another race, our goal is the same, to come in here and to put a good day together for the Sinclair Oil team and people at Sinclair Oil. And if we do that, then the points work themselves out. We're lucky to be racing Christian. Christian's a good guy to race against. He's fun to race against. Obviously, they've been on a hot streak lately, so that's in the back of your mind. But, we've got a good team around us. We've got a good team and a fun group of guys to work with, and that's what's important, man. You just can't let yourself get too stressed over this.
How do you do that then? How do you not get too stressed over a potential championship?
This is still just a huge opportunity for me to be here in the first place. I remind myself every day there was a time when I wasn't able to race, and Sinclair stepped up and gave me the opportunity to do that. And so it's easy to get caught up, I think, in the mindset of, man, you don't want to blow it, and you don't want to mess something up for the championship. But I also have to remind myself that I didn't always have the chance to be here in the first place. So it's cool to get a chance to do this, to come out here to Salem. Fun racetrack. Glad we get to come here twice a year and come race the ARCA Menards series. hopefully it's a fun race tonight. We can make the most out of it.
Humble without a helmet on. Put the helmet on, get him a steering wheel in his hands. He turns into that dinosaur. That's Michael Self. He's ready to go. Starts fourth tonight.
Michael Self could be a champion here tonight. The CGS Imaging 4 crown. It's something special here as part of the history of ARCA.
It's been here since 1984, and it's really something that's really highlighting the diversity we have in the 20 races we run each and every year here in this series.
The final race of that series tonight decided here at Salem Speedway. This one's going to get kick-started in just a second. This is one of my favorite races of the year. Throwback race here at Salem Speedway for the ARCA Menards Series.
We've got some Team Venturini representation. We also have a representation from Bruce Vanderlaan's paint scheme. He just passed away, so Mike Bursley, the crew chief there, said we got to do something for Bruce. And this is awesome. This is really cool to have these looks come back to the garage. Big Bill in 1987. Check that out, paint job on.
PW gets into the mix as well. That was a classic Western Autochrome car. Ed Pompa. And guess what? By virtue of a fan vote, Andy Hillenberg, Ed Pompa, they win the best appearing car here tonight on the throwback race.
The Jack Harrison Trophy. We've been here 105 times. Jack Harrison won the very first race here, so let's throw it back to the first winner at Salem and ARCA. The Jack Harrison Trophy goes to Ed Pompa and the Andy Hillenberg team.
Let's hear the most famous words in racing. Let's go downstairs, trackside, with the command.
Daryl Basham.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
How appropriate was that? Daryl Basham, longtime ARCA competitor, with the command here today. And I love what his T-shirt said, the Grander Marshal.
In spring, he was suiting up to race in this race. He finished 13th in the spring. Daryl's not done yet. It's a great way to honor our tradition here, that Southern Indiana driver.
322 starts for Daryl Basham here in the ARCA Menards Series. And there's the best appearing car for Ed Pompa in that number 11. A lot of cool throwback schemes. The Lucas Oil Chopper high above Salem Speedway. Green flag is next. By none other than teenager Ty Gibbs.
He was fast in practice, Bob, on old tires. When they put new tires on to do their simulated qualifying runs, he was not on top of the boards, but when it counted, he banks home the $1,000, and look at that, a General Tire Pole Award winner, not with a Venturini uniform on for only the fourth time this year.
That is incredible. Look at this site right here, the ARCA Fall Classic 200 tonight at Salem Speedway. And Ty Gibbs will lead the field to the green flag here tonight in that Monster Energy number 18. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Sam Mayer, another young hotshot, another teenager, but out of Wisconsin alongside of Ty Gibbs.
Youth prevailing on the row 1, Corey Heim, as well as 17-year-old in row number 2. The oldest guy on the whole page is the guy leading the points, Michael Self at 28. This is a stacked field right up front.
Starting right behind Michael Self will be his rival in the championship standings, Christian Eckes. Travis Braden, Carson Hocevar still looking to win for the first time this year.
And note they start on the outside, which is critical here at Salem Speedway. Getting an outside start on the restart will be a matter of fact all race long. That should help them early on. Gavin Harlan, the third teammate, actually the fourth teammate today for Venturini Motorsports, will start outside row number 6.
And Gavin Harlan making his third start in the ARCA Menards Series this year. Strong field of cars to do battle here today at Salem Speedway. Ed Pompa, the best appearing car on the ARCA Throwback Night here at Salem Speedway.
Also good to see Mike Basham and the Daryl Basham Racing number 34 back in action. That's the hometown team, if you will, here at Salem Speedway. He'll start 17th.
Tim Richmond, he's carrying a throwback scheme as well, and there is Colby Howard in the Wintron Racing number 32. Our Bounty Rookie Spotlight heading into this race. The kid has cut his teeth on the short tracks of America, already a couple times a winner this year in the Pro Late Model circuit.
Third generation racer. He races with Anthony Campi in the late models, and here he's racing for Wintron Racing for just the second time this season. Colby made his debut here, Bob, last year, and he finished a solid 8th position. So I think this kid is going to be one to watch here tonight at Salem on the High Banks.
I always wait for this. I want to know what your keys to tonight's race is.
Who's going to win? You got to lead laps. You got to dictate the pace. You got to dictate when to pit. Dictate by leading is one of my keys for tonight's race. Also, the timing of the first pit stop. There's only 6 tires in the pits. When you pit and what do you take that first pit stop? If it falls just right, you'll be in a prime position at the end of the race with fresher tires. Tire management rolls right into that as well. Only 6 in pits. Well, these general tire radials are great, but they're really good when they're fresh. It's a matter of managing when you put on your sets of tires throughout the race.
And we always see a long green flag run in the middle of this race. There is the pace truck leading the field, getting ready to go green here at Salem Speedway. The crowd already on its feet here, and an enthusiastic crowd as we always see at Salem Speedway.
We say throwbacks. Have you walked through the grandstands? I did. There's a lot of throwback T-shirts. These aren't retros. These were made 25 years ago and worn for 25 straight years. Love to see the enthusiasm and the education. Very smart fans here at Salem.
Look at that shot from the Lucas Oil chopper. Salem Speedway, 0.555 miles in length, 33-degree banking. And the green flag is out for the ARCA throwback race at Salem Speedway. Ty Gibbs masterful on the initial start of this race, but look at this battle already. Christian Eckes in that third spot. Sam Mayer battling right there with the 28 of Carson Hocevar for fourth.
Mayer started on the front row, but had a very slow start comparatively. Ty Gibbs was able to lead the field into turn one, and Michael Self also was able to clear from the second row into the second position to go single file before we got to turn two. A great start by those guys. Sam Mayer struggling on the bottom here early in that car number 20 on the Chevy accessory Chevy, crew chief by Marty Lindley.
Sam Mayer felt like the weather spoiled a possible victory for him when we were here in the springtime. He finished second when the rains came down and Michael Self went to victory lane, but Sam Mayer, the kid out of Wisconsin, thought that race was his.
And the number 28 driver, Carson Hocevar, his best finish of the season in his limited run. Third here at Salem Speedway after winning the pole position. So keep an eye on the number 28 machine. That car, the GMPartsNow.com Chevy, Carson Hocevar has a lot of confidence heading into this race, albeit with limited practice runs after a broken axle earlier in the day.
Honestly, a big surprise right in this mix of cars right here is the number 20 throwback machine for Venturini Motorsports with Chandler Smith. The defending winner of this race did not have the qualifying run we thought he might.
When he qualified 7th earlier this year, our jaws dropped. And as we watched qualifying, Bob, you and I, he only qualified 6th. I say only because Ty Gibbs already posted that number. And Chandler, more often than not, with his pole position prowess, has been able to answer those calls and be the driver that everybody stops and watches. Just didn't have the speed in qualifying today, but I don't think he was worried about that in the hot sunshine of practice today. Listening to what he was saying with his crew chief, Billy Venturini, let's worry about when that sun goes down. What do we have for a race car? We're not here for one lap. We're here for 200.
During practice, we were amazed watching these cars, and we can see coming out of turn number 4, this is a flat-out rough racetrack. There's no way we can ignore that. It was last paved in 1977. It's gritty, it's tough for the competitors, but because of that, it provides for some great racing.
And the new pavement put down was the shave of turns 3 and 4. That was 2014, but it could have been 1991 for all we know, because it's weathered here in the southern Indiana area. So the track surface has a lot of tendencies on both ends now, even with that fresher pavement on one end.
Ty Gibbs looking for his second victory of the year. But man, he has finished in the runner-up spot on many occasions throughout both the ARCA Menards series as well as his starts in the K&N series.
Yeah, Ty Gibbs has also a victory at Gateway. He was running second in the last lap. He got into Sam Mayer with what he saw as an opening. They bumped, and Ty prevailed. I asked him earlier today, I said, how big was that victory? He said, man, that was huge to have that victory against that stiff competition. And he knows what he's got in hand here. He has Shannon Rush and the number 25 team with Michael Self at the wheel right on his heels down the backstretch.
And that was a big surprise, honestly. If we look back to Salem earlier this spring, with that number 25 car for Michael Self and Shannon Rush, the crew chief, for them to win here, that really set the tone for the remainder of the season.
That was the only time Michael Self's ever raced here. He ever saw the place. He came here, I think, as a spotter once. He ran here before that?
He actually ran the fall race last year and finished 16th. So we weren't expecting anything out of him.
How could I forget that race? He was up in the top 5 when he and Zane Smith had an altercation that carried on for many laps. Now it comes back. It was the Sinclair colors, but a different car number. You're right, Tom.
So right now, Michael Self starting to close in on Ty Gibbs. Gibbs got that good start, but look at how Michael Self in the middle of the corner just gobbles up some territory. Gets a little bit closer each and every lap.
And Ty Gibbs is doing exactly what Michael Self is doing, believe it or not. Ty Gibbs is relying upon his spotter, Hal Martin. Where am I better? They don't quite have that established yet, but at this point, 5-7 laps into a run, Where am I better? Where is he catching me? And Michael Self knows by looking out his front windshield, I got him better here. I can do better there. How about if I pressure him a little bit where he may be a little bit weaker to get those tires worn off on that black number 18, and then he can pounce.
You know, one of the other factors here today, you talk about the keys to the race, is getting around some slower traffic. Brian Finney, going a lap down now in that number 80 car. I say Kevin because he's my neighbor back in Concord, North Carolina. But how close they come to some of this slower traffic can put them in a precarious position. Let's go downstairs to find out more from Alex Hayden.
Well, you guys are mentioning Ty Gibbs battling Michael Self for the race lead. Ty Gibbs is backing up the entry to turn 1 as well as turn number 3. That enables Michael Self to chop off a couple of car lengths. Then it's Ty Gibbs who's able to get back on the throttle in the center of the corner. He's able to maintain that 4, maybe 5 car length advantage. So different driving styles early on between the top two.
Different driving styles, different pitch strategies. We'll be talking about that a lot here, especially as the sun sets over the backstretch here at this half-mile facility. Now, we've seen a lot of different strategies over the year. We know the springtime race is different than the fall race here. What do you expect in terms of when these guys are going to come in for their first round of tires?
Because these General tires are so good, I think if the pace stays where there's 7 or 8 cars on lead lap, I think they want to go longer in the race. I don't think they want to come early. I think they want to wait. Because if they can hold pace and those 8 cars can stay on lead lap and kind of ride just a little bit, that'll be huge. So maybe lap 80 or so would be ideal for the leaders to pit. But if they get to where they can lap up to 6 cars based upon the pace that even Michael Self showed in the brief race we saw under green last spring, I think we might have a chance. If there's 4 or 5 cars on lead lap, they might want to come earlier to again keep that position, keep that advantage, and only have 5 cars on lead lap if they do get to pit under caution early.
This place is such a unique facility. Let's take a look at Salem Speedway with the General Tire track map. This facility located in the southern portion of Indiana. And when I say it is high banked, it's incredible. 33 degrees of banking in the corner, just over a half mile in length. This is tough as nails for all the competitors.
Turns 1 and 2 are completely different. As we watch in the lower box, they drive through the middle of turns 1 and 2 and sweep up and then dip down to the bottom of turn 2. If you're on the bottom of 3 and 4, you're going to spin out. There's nothing down there. There's no banking down there. The high line is the line. They enter about 3 car lengths off and drift all the way up to the wall. You can see them dancing off. We'll see more than just a few more black marks on that outside wall in turns 3 and 4. This track is very, very challenging with 2 completely different ends and getting that speed off of turn 4. You can't get tail happy. It's easy with the gas pedal to do that here.
And there is no better race to have a throwback race than here at Salem Speedway, because this is the 106th race that ARCA has held here at Salem Speedway. That's an incredible history. Here is Christian Eckes in the 15 with a throwback scheme, and as I say that, we'll get back to that. The yellow flag comes out 24 laps into this 200-lap race.
Boy, I don't know. We talk strategy. I don't know if I'd come in early now. There's a lot of cars on the lap. 12 cars still on the lead lap, Bob. I think it's a little early.
All the crew chiefs pondering what they want to do on pit road right now. Remember back 3 years ago, I think it was, Christian Eckes had a mishap with Gus Dean, spun on the racetrack, came down around lap 25, went back out. We had a long green flag run. He lapped everybody but the second place runner.
He had to pit.
He had to pit. So he came down pit road. Strategy galore here tonight at Salem Speedway for the ARCA Menards Series. Ty Gibbs continues to lead in the early going, but series points leader Michael Self right on his back bumper. He was beginning to close the gap. There is Chandler Smith. He's all the way back in the 10th spot. A big surprise, honestly, at this stage of the game, Alex Hayden.
It is, and because Chandler Smith is such a rocket every time he gets behind the wheel of one of these ARCA Menards cars, so we expected him to drive right up towards the front of the field. Problem being is the car's not gripping the racetrack in the banking. You guys mentioned 33 degrees of banking for these cars to sit on and get a good launch down the straightaways. His car's not able to hold the banking like the front runners are doing. They're going to have to ride it out until they can get to pit road and make an adjustment.
I thought if anyone's going to pit, maybe that team after looking where they're sitting now. Another point is Chandler's been here twice. He's led 79% of the laps. He's led 319 of 400 laps here, including all but 1 lap last time on this racetrack. So the puzzling question is, what changed so much? Well, guess what? The racetrack's changed. The technology's changed. This team was struggling a little bit in the hot sunshine to find grip on the racetrack, and it's certainly rearing its head now in the early portions of this race.
The kid is just flat out talented. 17 years old, out of Talking Rock, Georgia. And think about his prowess here today or throughout his history in the last year at Salem Speedway. He cut a tire on the final lap running second in his first attempt here. Won this race last year in his second start, and honestly was leading, pitted, and then the rains came and he lost the race, possibly even because of that here in the spring this past year.
Somehow, some way, the translation of what happened then and how Chandler's been so good and being a little bit off, part of it could be confidence too. I mean, it's all a matter of we were clicking every time we show up here. Now they struggle a little bit today.
He hasn't been in an ARCA car in the past month and a half. That could be a contributing factor as well. Ty Gibbs leading the field here. He chooses the outside lane for this restart. Coming to green this time by, and that is the preferred line around this racetrack.
Christian Eckes position on the inside in the second row on this restart as well, car 15.
Look at the start that Ty Gibbs gets once again. Just like the initial start of this race, he rockets out in front of the field by about 4 or 5 car lengths over Michael Self.
There's a thing called getting a penalty for jumping the restart. Michael Self does not want to have any sort of blemishes on his record when it comes to what happened in the race I can avoid. Jumping the start would be one because that's a drive-through penalty, and here at Salem that could be a 2-lap penalty. So if Self was a little bit lazy on the gas, I'd say that may be a big reason why. He does not want to lose track position here this early in the race.
And look at this, Joe Graff Jr. in that Eat Sleep race machine for Chad Bryant Racing, having one of his best runs as of late. He has struggled. A roller coaster year for the driver that won at Berlin Raceway in Michigan last year. But right now, he's knocking on the door for a top 5 running spot early in this race.
He's also trying to say, hey, let's be patient here to Carson Hocevar behind him. They're in practice. They worked on turns 3 and 4. They thought they had something in turns 3 and 4 that really helped them. Then they shifted over in the 90-minute session, he and his crew chief Paul Andrews, to working on turns 1 and 2. And working down the racetrack. I'm sorry, Chad Bryant, the crew chief on the 77. Paul's on the 22. So they work down the racetrack, work back up the racetrack to get Joe comfortable. This is a hard place to figure out. And you know, as Joe's attacking it, see the saw the wheel there? Turn 4 may not be his favorite corner all of a sudden anymore.
That was incredible. There's the 23 of Brett Holmes, comes into this race third in the series standings, has never finished outside the top 10 here at Salem Speedway with a best finish of third. He likes this place.
Well, Brett is one of those guys, if he can stand on the gas and find a line and being a dirt tracker from way back in his Talladega short track days and racing up and down the East Coast, I think he's right at home here at this racetrack. He has a knack and ability, and now crew chief Shane Huffman. Shane's come over and done wonderful things. I mentioned that talent level has always been there. The confidence level back in Brett Holmes' step. I can see how he and his dad go about the race weekend. Contact there, Bob.
Wow, contact between Brett Holmes and Carson Hocevar. Hocevar in that blue and white number 28 coming off of turn number 4. And honestly, if you're talking about a trouble spot for the race, turn 4 is kind of known as Calamity Corner here for the ARCA Menards series at Salem Speedway.
Hocevar only had one half a race really this past spring, and he had very limited practice, as I alluded to earlier, Bob. He had a rear axle issue. So Mike Bursley and Zach Dunstan went after it, and they spent the entire time in practice to get the axle fixed. So he had a little bit of practice, not a lot. So that could be part of Carson's issue there, is what can the whole track hold me, and when I get someone next to me, which didn't happen in practice, what's that like?
Third place in the standings is the 23 of Brett Holmes. Fourth in the standings is the 27 of Travis Braden, just 2 spots behind Brett Holmes on the racetrack. Travis Braden has run here in late models. He's run here in the ARCA series. This hasn't been one of his best tracks, but it's a track that he likes a lot. Travis Braden currently running in 10th.
And again, it's all about that momentum, getting those points. And he won at Lucas Oil Raceway. That's our next event, October 5th. He knows what he can do there. But to get points here on a guy that's done so well, the difference right now between Braden and Holmes in the overall points is 85 points. That's not a ton, considering that Christian Eckes 1 race ago made up 35 with both the top 5 run by he and Michael Self.
This battle between Hocevar and Holmes is getting a little bit crazy right now. Holmes trying to look to the inside of Carson Hocevar early in this one still. Only 40 laps completed here around the high banks of Salem Speedway. There is the subject of our Bounty Rookie Spotlight, Colby Howard. Colby actually ran a race here at Salem Speedway in the ARCA Menards series last year.
It was his first race. He's run 3 races, all top 10 finishes, so Colby knows how to make it last. He doesn't bang off the wall. He doesn't get the car messed up, doesn't get himself in trouble. Here in this black number 32 Project Hope, yourpal.com. Chevy, Kevin Sawinski, the owners here. They've got the great team with Jamie Jones behind them. They're running a part-time schedule this year after a couple of full seasons with Gus Dean. They didn't lose much here by not being here every weekend.
And honestly, they're thinking about going full-time once again in 2020 in the ARCA Menards series. Right now, Colby Howard looking to the inside. That's a tough place, honestly, to try to pull off a pass, especially here. He doesn't have a lot of laps on Salem Speedway, but going down to the bottom in turn number 1, you know that number 32 is going to do one thing if you go right to the bottom, and that's going to shoot up the racetrack.
Well, I talked to Colby. He said, this is my last ARCA chance. This is my last chance to make an impression because it takes funding. It takes a sponsor. It takes awareness. And if you walk into an office and say, I've got a top 5 finish at Salem Speedway, back in the day, A.J. Foyt said, if you ran that high here in an open wheel car, people in Indianapolis are looking at you. So hopefully Colby can find something to race here more in this series. At his tender age of 18, making his way into this series, it's a great, great jump for him. And he's been making the most of those 3 top 10 finishes in all 3 starts.
Ty Gibbs has been running the NASCAR Canyon East Circuit as of late. 4 straight top 5 finishes in that. 3 of those were runner-up finishes. We talked about that bridesmaid situation. Yes, he does have 1 win this year in the ARCA series. Michael Self in that 25 has had a great year. The series points leader with 4 wins to his credit. But right now, Sam Mayer, the teenager, closing in on the 25.
Mayer started second, drifted back really out, just didn't have the track position early on, and found a way to find a hole. Now he's restarted in the 3rd spot, or 4th, excuse me. Up to 2nd and 3rd now are those 2 guys that are racing for this position. Mayer got the advantage of that restart, starting outside of row number 2, and he started on the inside of the front row at the initial start. And he knew the bottom is not where he wanted to be. That's what it matters. It matters to be in the right spot and on the outside on these restarts.
Sam Mayer almost had the victory at Gateway until he and Ty Gibbs had a moment in turn number 3 on the final lap, and Sam Mayer went up the racetrack. Ty Gibbs won, but Sam Mayer has been so strong. He leads the standings in the NASCAR Canyon East Circuit right now by virtue of winning 2 of the last 3 races.
And he also has a championship to win with those 2 races remaining in the season. I also think he's going to have a really good shot at being a young champion in that series. And he's looking at coming back to ARCA as much as he can, coming back to run the full East schedule and some truck races. He has 2 left this year for GMS Racing. So he's a driver that's getting a lot of laps with Marty Lindley at the controls no matter where they go. So good to see Sam Mayer back here. I think he's got 7 or 8 races this year. He's racing here and at Lucas Oil Raceway on October 5th. So it should be fun to watch this 16-year-old develop right in front of our very eyes here on MAP TV.
A pair of 16-year-olds in the top 3 early in the going. 50 laps now complete. Ty Gibbs continues to lead this one over Michael Self and Sam Mayer. The number 18 team looking for its 2nd victory of 2019. Can they get it done on the high banks of Salem Speedway? They are very strong early in the going here in the Fall Classic at Salem Speedway. Ty Gibbs, the grandson of Joe Gibbs, is definitely making his mark in the ARCA Menards series this year. But can he get win number 2 here tonight at Salem Speedway? We'll find out. It's the ARCA Fall Classic 200 at Salem Speedway tonight. You can see cars strung all the way around this racetrack. 62 laps complete of 200 already. Clicking off laps here is Ty Gibbs leading this race, but what a race we had for the 2nd spot. Look at Sam Mayer in that 21 with the 25. This is our Auto Park It replay, and this was interesting because they traded paint.
This is how you do it. Going down the backstretch, you pull even. Then you want to move up just a little bit. Sam Mayer did that. His spotter, veteran Lauren Renier, said, there you go, clear. Now that's how you make a Salem pass work.
It's a short track. It's a high banked half mile. Contact is inevitable at some point in the race, and just that little body slam going into turn number 1 really paid off for Sam Mayer. Now he's trying to track down this car, Ty Gibbs, in the number 18.
1.1 seconds is the difference between our race leader since the outset. Ty Gibbs, our pole sitter, elected to switch off to the front row on the outside on the initial start. Just 1 caution so far, Bob. I think right now, as we're sitting here 65 laps into this, if we have a caution, I'm going to say they're going to come. We still have 12 cars on the lead lap. That's another number to keep in factoring. You can get a few more cars a lap down. That's why Ty Gibbs may be pushing it right here. Not riding, not just saying, oh, I've got a 2nd lead. He wants to get to more cars, to get them down on the order, so he has less cars to worry about on the lead lap.
And right now, Gibbs has a little bit of a lead, almost a second advantage over Sam Mayer, but Sam Mayer is starting to close the gap here. But I think what you mentioned, 66 laps into this one, is really you got to think about the pit strategy. And we want to take a look at the Geico 411 here because that pit window is very critical. 6 General tires in the pit area. We know that pit window is normally between 50 and 75, but that can slide a little bit depending on the cautions that fall in this race.
And right now, it's a bonus. The temperatures are getting cooler. It's a bonus to go beyond that 75-lap window and get into 80 or 90. If you go to 100, guess what that means? You have 100 laps to burn up 6 tires that you can throw at this race car that were not on the car when it started.
And the sun is beginning to set over the backstretch here. The lights are beginning to come on. Here's Corey Heim in the 22. Corey in the Carbon Racing Solutions race car for Chad Bryant Racing. And here comes the 23 of Brett Holmes, the driver out of Alabama, looking very strong early in the going here, currently running in 7th.
He is right behind Corey Heim. Heim lost the spot to his teammate Joe Graff, and the car seems to be a little bit off now on the number 22 machine. He started 3rd, had a great practice session. Temperature to nighttime again for Corey and his team, working through it. He and Paul Andrews have done great things, but right now that car is a bit off. So if Brent Holmes can pass him, that's one more spot. When you come to pit road, guess what? That's so critical to get in and out cleanly. They're pitted near each other on the front stretch here. So getting ahead of the 22, that's another factor in getting a better, cleaner pit stop on the tight pit road here at Salem.
On race-style runs, nobody was faster than the 22 of Corey Heim in practice. But as you mentioned, that was during the hot heat of the sun during the day. Now you can see the lights are starting to come on here, and it's got a little bit more darker conditions, and that'll change the track characteristics.
Beautiful sunset behind the golf course off the back stretch here. Love this helicopter. Can we have it at every race, Bob? Can we make that happen?
We're going to have to figure something out. I tell you what, I can't wait to get to Lucas Oil Raceway on October 5th. That's going to be a blast. The final race in the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. That'll be round number 11, and that will be the race that will figure out the overall championship for the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. This is round number 10. When we get through that final race, you'll be able to drop your worst finish.
And that's going to play another huge factor in how that race is run. So if a driver can lose a race and only count the best 10 finishes of the 11 run, we can see a whole lot of sparks flying at Lucas Oil Raceway on that Saturday night. Our last race live here on MAV with the ARCA Menards Series.
Pretty interesting here because Carson Hocevar, who ran so strong, a 3rd place run in the springtime, has just gone a lap down. As you were talking, I was looking at that screen. I said, no way, the 28 is going a lap down. The kid out of Michigan is always very fast, but as you mentioned, he struggled here a little bit today in practice. Yellow flag back out. Smoke out of the 55 of Gavin Harlan. So a bad break for him. He was running 12th, and a lot of smoke out of the back end of that race car.
Gavin Harlan, just his 3rd start. Crew chief Frank Kimmel, 9 victories here in 44 starts. Dave Liner's got a ton of wins here. He's the car chief de facto on this number 55. The great paint scheme here, you're like, what's going on there? That was Tony Venturini. That's Billy Venturini's grandfather. That's the paint scheme he ran back at Soldier Field and other short tracks around the Chicagoland area. And unfortunately for the off-road star, Gavin Harlan having an issue just getting that car to pit road, something terminal under the hood of that Toyota Camry.
So we're getting a report that the crews are getting ready for possible pit stops here. And this is a shot from the Lucas Oil chopper of the activity on the racetrack and what's going on pit road. You can see from that shot there how tight pit road is. When you come down and you change tires, it's definitely an interesting scene down there, Alex.
It really is. It's strategy time because definitely we're going to see all these cars come to pit road. Now, the question for the crew chief, do you put on only right side general tires and save that 4 set for later in the race where you could potentially make a run to the checkered flag? Or do you go ahead and bolt on all 4 right now, rock it to the front of the field, and then only have 2 fresh left in the pit box? It's decision time because after a 20-lap run under green, the lap times fall off by almost a full second. That's how valuable the new tires are.
And Alex, this is something to consider as well. I don't believe they'll be pitting this time by because Gavin Harlan was blocking the entrance to pit road. So I believe it'll be at least one more lap until we come down pit road with a lot of these race cars and what we are expecting here. But If you only take 2 right now and you get a really long green flag run, we've seen a lot of cars go a lap down in a hurry here in a long green flag run.
And it's a matter of split seconds. Those fresh tires mean everything. And I don't know if they're going to take 2 or 4 here, but I'm telling you what, those fresh tires will make the difference. If they stay out, if the leaders stay out and the guys 5th on back pit, it won't be long before you get a whole lot of action at the head of the field because they're going to come in a hurry. Those fresh tires, a second fall off in the first 10 laps, I mean, it's huge.
You got to really enjoy the strategy here, and this is what's going to make you a hero or a zero in terms of the crew chief and the decision that you need to make in a split second. There's Gavin Harlan on pit road. The hood is up on that number 55 machine for Venturini Motorsports, a former competitor in the Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series.
And he has the hashtag 4 Presley. That's his younger sister by a year. She is has autism, so autism awareness is a campaign for the entire Harlan family out of Mesa, Arizona. So great to see that he's got his sister's name right along with him in each of the races here this year, the 3 that he's run.
Let's talk about the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge, though, because we could get ourselves into trouble with Figure 8 racing here at Salem Speedway. And as we mentioned, it's an 11-race series. But this series this year has been dominated by one team. All of the victories have been owned by Venturini Motorsports.
3 different drivers, but of late Chandler Smith before we went to the dirt tracks, man. He was on it, and when we got to the dirt, there was Michael Self and Christian Eckes backing up their wins and getting their points closer than ever. As we go to round 11, this is round 10. Round 11 is October 5th in Brownsburg, Indiana at Lucas Oil Raceway.
This is the penultimate round tonight at Salem Speedway.
I like that word. I like that word.
It's a fancy one.
Yeah.
Looked it up right before the show. Yeah. But we're excited to finish the season for the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. When we get to Lucas Oil Raceway on October 5th, we will decide and crown a champion that night of the Short Track Series. Another series within a series here in the ARCA Menards Series.
I just noticed another figure 8 track we can make out of this one, Bob. It's a little longer using turns 1 and 2, or 3 and 4, excuse me, and make it a big figure 8.
That would be a huge figure 8, high-speed one at that. Pits are open. Here we go. Who's coming in? Who is not? The top 2 definitely coming down pit road. It looks like just about everybody. You see Tim Richmond in that white car. Looks like he's overheating a little bit, so he'll have to bring that to the attention of his crew on pit road. But a flurry of activity right now on pit road.
Ty Gibbs in the center of the big screen on your left is the race leader coming in. He's going to change. He's on the bend, if you will. The pits bend all the way down to turn 1. That's where Sam Mayer is in the bottom of the right-hand screen. 2 tires for Ty Gibbs. Adjustment there, 2 rounds. Wow.
So, Alex Hayden, what did you see out of that Ty Gibbs pit stop?
Yeah, they're having a problem trying to get him stopped short. They were very adamant for Ty to make sure he stopped short in the pit box because the 32 car was going to be pulling in just in front of him. So they wanted a clean exit out. Right side, general tires only. Top him off with that Sunoco fuel. They are complaining just a bit, Ty is, that the water temperature is beginning to rise on that car. So something we'll have to keep a close eye on. It was also right side tires for Sam Mayer, although not quite as quick. He lost a spot. Michael Self's team got him out ahead.
That's going to be interesting. Possibly a heating issue underneath the hood on the 18 for Ty Gibbs, who has been so dominant so far. So the top 3 that came onto pit road, we know they took all right side tires. So they still have 4 tires in the pit area for later on in the race. What did everybody else take? We'll sort things out when we come back here for the ARCA Menards Series at Salem Speedway on MAV TV with the Fall Classic 200. A dramatic turn of events for series points leader Michael Self. He is in the infield. He relinquishes the 3rd place position on the racetrack. They pulled the hood up on the race car and they said, take it to the infield. So now Shannon Rush and that team looking at that race car. Here's the replay of what happened when they came to pit road, Jim.
It was a sudden jerk to the wheel to the left of pit road for Michael Self. As they came to a pit stop, the team is starting to tell his crew chief, there's something wrong under the hood. We can't fix it here. We can't fix it here. They have a crash cart. You see they have an entire setup in the figure 8 area for this team, whether it be a Venturini car that's Gavin Harlan's or Michael Self's. They've got a whole area working just for their cars in the pit area. So they brought extra equipment in the infield to help in circumstances that, boy, this is a huge circumstance to try to overcome.
And this is exactly what we talked about at the top of the show. Michael Self, that 70-point lead over Christian Eckes. Christian Eckes, who runs very strong here at Salem Speedway, now currently running in the 3rd spot. He stands to gain a lot of ground, honestly, in this championship equation. Now with 2 races to go after this one, let's go down to Alex.
Well, guys, standing here looking up underneath the left front wheel well where they're working on the point leader Michael Self's car, there's definitely a piece of, it looks like a broken suspension. Not exactly sure which part of it, but it is hanging straight down. That's not good. I'm not a mechanic, but I can tell you that is no good on a race car. So they're going to work feverishly down here trying to get that taken care of.
All right, come up.
And I thought I saw something interesting by the right front of that race car. If we pan down a little bit to the right front, honestly, I thought I saw some fluid down there as well in the above shot, right by the right front tire. So you
definitely fluid there, Bob.
You see some fluid there.
Talking about it, so I told you.
So let's take a look at what that is. Not exactly sure what that is right there, but you definitely see some fluid, some overheating, I believe, from the 25 car. So definitely a problem for the point leader as we're getting set to go back to green flag racing here at Salem Speedway. Green flag back out. Just like every other restart so far. Ty Gibbs grabs that lead, but now Brett Holmes into the 2nd spot. A good run by the driver of the Orange 23. We are told that Chandler Smith in the number 20 will have a drive-through penalty. We will clarify exactly what that was. So Chandler Smith was running in the top 10.
Alex Hayden just also telling us a lower A-frame has broken on Michael Self's point championship leading Toyota. Wow.
So Christian Eckes in that 15. Now is his time to shine. He needs to stay consistent here, finish in the top 5, and really narrow that margin between he and Michael Self. Now, I am told that Chandler Smith got that penalty because he pulled out of line prior to the start-finish line on that restart.
By rule, the start line is in turn 4. You must stay in your lane until you get to the start-finish line. Then you can make a move. He did it prior to the line on that restart.
So a lot of shakeups going on here as we approach the halfway point in this race. Michael Self is in the infield with an apparent overheating or engine issue on the Sinclair number 25. 2nd place in points is Christian Eckes. He's currently running in the 3rd spot. Another Venturini Motorsports car, the 55, is out, Gavin Harland. And then another one just got a penalty. So 3 of the 4 Venturini cars with trouble in the first half of this race.
Doing the math back to what the team told us, when Christian Eckes crashed at Talladega, he finished 26th. Michael Self did a lot better than that, and guess what? There was a 115-point swing they calculated in that one race. We may have a new point leader heading out of this racetrack if all goes to plan for Christian Eckes, and Michael Self's not able to get back on the track in the next 20, 30 laps.
There are other implications as well. Remember, we talked about the CGS Imaging 4 Crown Championship. Coming into this race, Michael Self was only 35 points ahead of Brett Holmes. Well, Self is behind the wall. Holmes is running 2nd.
Self can even drop off the top 5 in the standings that awards 1 champion for the 4 different diverse racetracks we run on the given schedule. Here comes Chandler Smith to serve that penalty. He came to pit road, Bob, because that car handling wasn't just right, and now he has had another reason to come down to pit road. Really make an adjustment or drive straight through. It's under green. He's got to go.
And he's got to go indeed. He actually came down pit road in this most recent caution period on 2 different occasions. So it's not been the day we figured the number 20 team would have had.
Venturini Motorsports right now is scratching their head in a big way going, what are we doing? What are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? A lot of uncertainties for a team that's dominated the entire 2019 campaign. If you look at every statistical category, laps led, different drivers that won. Shoot, they've led the most laps in 11 of the races thus far this year with at least one of their drivers.
This is an interesting wrinkle coming into this race. Michael Self with a 70-point lead over Christian Eckes. We talked about the CGS Imaging 4 Crown Championship. It'll be decided here tonight. This is round 10 of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. Implications for that as well. But Michael Self right now is sitting in the car in the infield watching his teammate Christian Eckes run in the top 5. Just itching to get back out there is Michael Self. and this Venturini Motorsports team doing all they can to get that 25 car back out there so he can get those valuable points if somebody drops out of the race.
Team made a pit stop. We're going to line up third on the restart, and they came down pit road on a lower A-frame issue on Michael South's Toyota Camry behind pit wall. They're continuing to work on it, but man, these laps are clicking by pretty fast. We're still at an 18.9 second pace on these laps, and I thought we'd be down to like 19.5s-ish by this point. That fresh rubber means everything. We're still clicking them off. We have 2 fresh right side tires. Those teams came down on lap 76. That's just 22 laps ago, so they've got a lot fresher tires, and this pace is hurting one driver who's behind pit wall, hoping he can get back out on the racetrack real soon.
What's going on with the 25, Alex?
I've just found out the lower A-frame, part of the suspension that helps this race car get around this very bumpy Salem Speedway, the lower A-frame bolt came out of it. The A-frame itself is intact. They just lost the bolt out of it. Now they're trying to figure out how they can get that back in there, because with that lower A-frame dragging the asphalt, that really ground it down and having a hard time getting the new bolt in there.
So caution comes out for the third time here at Salem Speedway tonight. It was possibly for Tim Richmond in that 06 car, a throwback scheme for him to Freddie Lorenzen back in the day, in the NASCAR days. So they are going to go underneath the hood. So we initially thought it was a problem underneath the hood for Michael Self, but an A-frame issue with that bolt coming out, that is a good thing and a bad thing. It's difficult to fix, but at the same time, at least it's nothing to do with that engine in the power plant on that race car.
Checking for fluid on the track as well. This caution may take a little while, Bob.
So under caution once again. Boy, things are twisting and turning here tonight in Salem, Indiana. The Nugenics top 5 going to break here on MAP TV. The Richmond Water Heaters mid-race recap for the Fall Classic 200 for the ARCA Menards Series. Pole sitter Ty Gibbs very strong early in the going, but Michael Self also very strong, the point leader in that 25.
So they kept pace and kept the pressure on. We had a caution at lap 25. These teams had a chance to evaluate each other. We threw the rag back, and another 50 laps clicked off in no time. I saw some great close contact there with Brett Holmes getting in the side of Carson Hocevar's Chevy.
There's some more contact to come. Watch Sam Mayer in the 21 car get up into the side of Michael Self. Michael Self a little later on had some issues with the lower A-frame, the bolt falling out. Here's a battle between teammates just outside of the top 5. Joe Graff getting by the 22 of Corey Hines.
Just that one nudge. Corey Hines trying to battle back from that. Trying to get back in the top 5. He's just inside the top 5 now. And then this issue, this huge issue in many, many ways. Under caution, lap 85, Michael Self comes to pit road with a huge problem.
This changes the tide in the championship quest right now. Ty Gibbs continues to dominate this race, but all eyes are on the overall ARCA Menards Series Championship. Self behind the wall, top 5 so far for Christian Eckes. The Richmond Water Heaters mid-race recap. 3 cautions so far in this race.
Chandler Smith gets one of his 2 laps back. He's now only 1 lap down the car, number 20 with a free pass.
Watch Christian Eckes trying to gobble up some positions on the outside. He's got the preferred groove. Wow, that was close-quartered racing coming off of turn number 2 as he goes to the outside of Brett Holmes and drives to second.
Holmes is trying to get up behind that second-place car back. He couldn't do it, did not want to get any ruffled feathers there, but it was awfully close. He knew better to bring that car right back down to get a better run. Now he's on the outside of that red number 23 Holmes 2 Excavation Chevrolet.
Things settle out, or settle down, I should say, in the top 5. Brett Holmes to that 3rd spot. Sam Mayer in 4th. Corey Hines back into the top 5 now in that 22 car. So Holmes holds steady in the 3rd spot, but just in front of him is that 15 car for Christian Eckes. And Eckes has honestly had a very busy weekend. He was in Las Vegas last night in the NASCAR Truck Series. The pole award last night for him, a podium finish with 3rd. He flew overnight on a red eye, and you saw him at the hotel this morning.
9:30 this morning, walked in, got a big hug from Big Bill and Kathy Venturini. He was in safely. They had Casey Roderick as their backup plan, the short track standout. He was here just in case Christian had an issue with it. Practice or qualifying, couldn't make portion of the day. And Christian made it in time, but yeah, he's one tired dog right now. I'm sure the adrenaline's flowing. He'll forget about sleep for a while during this race.
The Sioux Chief short track standings coming into this one. Michael Self had a pretty considerable lead in this one, 140 points over both Brett Holmes and Corey Hine.
In these positions, I'm telling you, the short track challenge this year has been amazing. Michael Self's the only driver of these top 5 that didn't change a position from the dirt track at DuQuoin to now. They continued to move up and down the standings. So they're, again, all in play. All this comes down to this race and October 5th to decide the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge champion.
90 laps to go. And Sam Mayer continues to try to look to the inside. Will he trade paint with another car and pull off another patented Salem move, just like last time?
Well, this time he dipped down in turns 3 and 4. He went into turn 3 next to the car he tried to pass and did successfully. Now he's got that bravery. He just towed it down to the middle of turns 3 and 4. And look at this young kid go in the 21. Sam Mayer. Coming through the field, he has confidence. He said Marty Lindley has more trust and ability to what Sam's feedback is as the season has gone on. I'm telling you, this is beauty in motion here. Just one little slip by Brett Holmes was the difference.
The Auto Park It replay right here. And a textbook move with a little less contact this time for Sam Mayer, trying to move by the 23 of Brett Holmes. That moves the 21 into third.
And Mayer's car is handling so well there. He could keep the car in the lower banking in turn 1. That made him go into the corner, not have to drift up. A lot of times the cars will wash up if the handling's not there. His car is handling perfectly right now. He's chased down Eckes in no time.
Michael Self might need the app for Auto Park It because he's parked in the infield right now as the championship leader. Man, he's got to be sweating inside that race car as he watches his buddy, his teammate at Venturini Motorsports in the 15, that JBL audio team for Christian Eckes.
Christian Eckes has to be really smart here. He can't be battling for position. He cannot be in the position where he's going to hold off Sam Mayer. Sam Mayer wants the spot. Eckes really needs to be playing it safe here.
So, Alex, I know you have been in the pit for the 15. What are they talking about at this stage of the game?
His crew chief's telling him just be smart. The way we're racing the second half of tonight's event is totally different than the way we took the green flag to get this thing underway. The reason being is that teammate in the championship battle, Michael Self, in the infield trying to get the suspension on the left front put back together. So they told the driver, Christian Eckes, get what you can get. Get as much as the car will give you, but don't do anything dumb with it. We're racing big picture, which means we have a great chance now to try to take over the championship point lead.
So here's the scene in our booth right now. Jim Trado has gotten his calculator out, and we know right now Christian Eckes runs second. Currently scored in the 15th spot is Michael Self, 5 points per position. Where are we at right now? Because they were 70 points apart coming into this race.
If they were to finish where they're running now, Michael Self in 15th, Christian Eckes running in second, that's a difference of 65 points. We have a 70-point difference heading into this race. Neither has led a lap, which is 5 more points. So why not Eckes push it if he can, or stay out under caution to lead a lap and then pit a lap later? All those scenarios play in to get those bonus points. They're only awarded to lead a lap, lead the most laps, win the pole, and there's 10 more points if you win the race. So there's a lot of factors playing into this. So Eckes, he has nothing to lose right now. He has a very fast car.
Careful. I know his crew chief, Kevin Reed, if we get on another restart, is going to say, hey, go for it if you can, but just be careful.
Sam Mayer's trying to do everything he can. He knows he can pressure Eckes. Eckes might be less of a combatant to fight off the position. But in reality, Eckes is a really fast car right now. He's down underneath 19 seconds still. He's faster than Gibbs by a full tenth of a second that lap.
And listen, Christian Eckes came onto the scene a couple of years ago and really took the short track scene by storm. He won the Myrtle Beach 400, the Thanksgiving Classic in North Carolina at Kenley, and then he went on to win the Snowball Derby. And when he won the Snowball Derby, everybody stood up and took notice, including the folks from Toyota. And they have backed him. And now he's starting to have success in the NASCAR Truck Series as well. This kid, though, Ty Gibbs, in a couple of years, we expect to see him in the highest levels of NASCAR in that Truck Series or the Xfinity Series before he gets to battle in the Cup Series. It's almost inevitable for guys like Christian Eckes as well as Ty Gibbs. A little further back, these are two young hotshots as well. the 32 of Colby Howard. Howard currently runs in the 8th spot. Hocevar back on the lead lap, running in 9th.
And Hocevar is right in the middle of our Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge. I'm telling you, he's going to get some serious points made up here. He's in 4th right now, just 35 points out of the tie for 2nd. And he's going to run all of them. He's going to run Lucas Oil Raceway. He's going to try to do a better run here than he did in the spring. He finished 3rd here in the spring. Very impressive young man. Just 2 crew guys working that car till the over-the-wall guys showed up today. They have really been impressive this year. Mike Bursley, Zach Dunston, and this driver, Carson Hocevar, are doing what they can to compete with these big boys and these big teams.
Plenty of racing still to go here at Salem Speedway. Plenty of drama so far in the first half of this race. We're under 75 to go. The lights are on. The Nugenics top 5 reads Ty Gibbs leading Christian Eckes and Sam Mayer. But it's Christian Eckes who is taking charge here today in terms of the championship battle. Can he close in and possibly even pass his teammate for the point lead?
Attention oxygen therapy users, your Inogen One may be covered by Medicare or other insurance at little or no cost to you. If you've been chained to an oxygen tank, then you know they're a burden. Tanks keep you from living the life you love.
I was on oxygen tanks and I couldn't go anywhere and do much of anything. I didn't dare go far.
It's time to reclaim your independence with an Inogen One oxygen concentrator. Inogen makes its own oxygen from the air around you, so you'll never worry about running out of oxygen again.
I wasn't going to run out of oxygen ever, and it was like freedom. I got my life back. I really love my Inogen.
The Inogen One G4 is lightweight and compact. Plus, it's battery operated, so you can have oxygen anytime, anywhere. Your Inogen One may be covered by Medicare or other insurance at little or no cost to you. Call now for your free information kit. There's no obligation.
Call 800-416-2297. That's 800-416-2297.
Laps clicking away here in a long green flag run. The Nugenics top 5 with Ty Gibbs leading the way. But championship implications in this Nugenics top 5 with Christian Eckes second in points, third, and third place point man Brett Holmes fifth in this race here. Ty Gibbs so strong so far. But Alex Hayden, is there going to be some strategy lurking with Christian Eckes in that 15 team?
Well, the longer this stays under a long green flag run and as fast as the leader Ty Gibbs is, that means he's going to gobble up some of these cars on the tail end of the lead lap. So with a few cars left on the lead lap, if there's a caution flag and these lead lap cars come to pit road, I would look for Christian Eckes to stay out under caution, lead a lap, come to pit road the next time by if he only has to give up, say, 4, maybe 5 positions. So something to file away just in case.
And here's another thing to file away as well. Michael Self, 15th in the standings here in this race, has been listed as out on our official scoring. So let's take a look at the Auto Park It replay here. Sam Mayer having a very strong run in this one. And here he is battling with Christian Eckes. A hop, skip, and a jump for that 15 going into turn number 1. That was pretty scary for Christian Eckes, and he gives up the spot.
Sam had some really good position in turn 1. The car got a little tail happy, but he gave himself room. Made a really nice clean pass.
What's going on with that 21, Alex?
Sam Mayer's having a fantastic run. The only issue he's having tonight is starts and restarts. If you recall, he started second tonight, and the drop of the green flag, he fell back to 4th and was battling just to hang on there. The last couple of restarts, he also gave up 2-3 spots. So the inexperience for Sam Mayer is on the restarts. He's going to have that in his repertoire if we have one of those late in tonight's race. He knows he's got a fast race car.
Sam Mayer, very strong, finished second in here in the springtime, but that was an interesting shot there. On our screen, we see Michael Self scored as out with a big red line on it. But we still see that Venturini Motorsports team working on that 25 car. Here's what they are looking at, honestly. They are looking at right now, Tim Richmond is also scored out. If they can make up the laps on Tim Richmond, who sits 14th, that's valuable points. That's another 5 points. And then Mike Basham, he's 11 laps down. If Mike Basham goes out of the race, that's another spot possibly if they get back out into the racetrack that Michael Self can gobble up.
Yeah, maintain that pace and then hope to complete more laps than Michael to get 5 more points. Every position is 5 points, regardless of the bonus status. Sam Mayer's in his 8th race this year in the ARCA Menards Series, and I really like the idea that he and Marty Lindy, who was so strong last year with MDM Motorsports, working with Zane Smith the year prior, going to a championship run at MDM in the K&N Series. I like the idea that Sam Mayer surrounded himself with really good people. His spotter is Lauren Renier. This team is built very, very well for Sam Mayer. And this team, Michael South, they're not done yet. This is a big blow, but I think they will have an answer come Lucas Oil Raceway on October 5th and our finale at Kansas.
It looks like they are ready to close the hood. Indeed, they are on that Sinclair machine. Let's go down to Alex.
Yeah, the hood's just about to go down. Michael Self left the window net up the entire time. Never took the helmet off, never took the gloves off. They're going to jack it up on the left side one more time just to make sure the shock is back in place, make sure the spring is back in place. Then they expect to put the car down, close the hood, and get him back out there and salvage whatever they can possibly salvage.
Well, Alex, we know that honestly, with Tim Richmond being out, if Michael Self is able to complete some laps, he will pick up at least one spot and move up from 15th to 14th. That's 5 points. Those 5 points could be very valuable in this championship quest. Ty Gibbs just put Colby Howard in the 32 a lap down. Colby Howard was running 8th. So just like you mentioned and Alex pointed out, man, you can get people a lap down in a hurry here. And now Eckes under fire for 3rd. Eckes has Corey Heim right on his back bumper. And here comes Michael Self back out onto the racetrack. This is critical in the battle for the championship.
One question I had to Alex was, would they have changed tires before coming back out, knowing how critical those tires are? That's not an option right now. The crew members are still behind the wall. Change those tires, they lose more spots on pit road, more time. They can't afford to lose any of that, so they're coming back out on the tires they had on the car. We'll see as the scoring refreshes how many 66 laps unofficially down now is Michael Self to our race leader, Ty Gibbs.
And Tim Richmond right now is being scored in 14th, actually in front of him. 10 laps is the difference between Michael Self as well as Tim Richmond. So he basically has to go 11 laps around this racetrack, and he gets another 5 points.
Yeah, if he gets by him, I'm sure it's a big deal. It's a small victory. In the big picture, it makes a lot of sense to go back out and get those laps logged to get one more spot up on the rung in the finish order.
Less than 50 laps to go now here at Salem. And this championship equation might have been a little bit different for Christian Eckes. Had he raced this event in the springtime, he had food poisoning the morning of the race. Harrison Burton had to fill in for him. He actually tore a hole in his esophagus. He got so sick. Had to battle back from that. And now Eckes has a shot at the championship this year. Corey Heim running well. Joe Graf Jr. in that 77. He's in the top 10, and he's about to go a lap down as well. The Nugenics top 5. Ty Gibbs continues to lead over Sam Mayer. Implications for 3 different championships playing out tonight at Salem Speedway. The view from the Lucas Oil Chopper high above Salem Speedway as Ty Gibbs continues to lead. But the overall ARCA Menards Series Championship, definitely a lot playing out right there. The Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge, as well as the CGS Imaging 4 Crown Championship, which will be decided here tonight. And right now, Michael Self back out on the racetrack. He's already picked up 1 spot and moved ahead of Tim Richmond. Michael Self now being scored in 14th.
And because of where he is now, you mentioned the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge, the championship within, this will become his throwaway race. No matter what happens, the short tracks he's been so good on, his hiccups have been on the bigger tracks, so no doubt when he goes to Lucas Oil Raceway on October 5th, Michael Self will have to run well there to try to have any chance to win the championship, because everybody gets to lop off their worst race. So that'll change things dramatically as we bring it to you live on MAV that evening. I like the idea that Self is back out here, and he's got that 1 position back on Tim Richmond. Now he's got to make up a ton of laps on Mike Basham. Matter of fact, I don't think he'll have enough time, enough laps to get too many other cars. So he got 5 more points by getting back on the racetrack after fixing that lower A-arm issue.
So Michael Self, look at those sparks from Sam Mayer. His chassis appears to be hitting right there upon the entrance
entry,
to turn number 1. But Michael Self is very quick. Actually, our director, Scotty McLemore, just pointed out, look at his lap times. Pretty darn quick around this racetrack. He's in the 17-second bracket, very similar to what Ty Gibbs and Sam Mayer are running first and second on the racetrack. And getting back to that whole Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge where you throw away your worst finish. Right now, he's being scored in 14th. If we look at all of our information in front of us, he had a 15th place run at Nashville. Remember, in that incident with Ty Gibbs and so forth in that race. So depending on what shakes out here, that could be his throwaway as well.
Yeah, that could lop off that one. I forgot about the Nashville race. It's such a quick season, really. And Ty Gibbs, he's been quick all night. You have to lose a lap. And one more points championship we didn't throw in there. Owners Championship. The 18 team, the Coy Gibbs owned team, has been in every race. They've had 3 different drivers in their car. They've had some great success. They're 4th in the owners' points. So Ty Gibbs is not only racing for another trophy this year, already a winner at Gateway, but getting a chance to get back in victory lane and get some more owners' points, that could be a huge factor as well, as they sit 4th and maybe have a chance at 3rd in the owners' points, or even 2nd before season's end.
4th caution of the evening here comes under 30 laps to go, and there's Ed Pompa. The fans' favorite in terms of the throwback schemes here today. Ed in the number 11 was actually running 11th. A very good run for that Andy Hillenberg-owned team.
Yeah, one of his better runs, that grass that's going to burn itself out. Just a little bit of fuel probably from the exhaust pipe popping out on the grass to cause that little bit of fire. This car's been the attraction since we saw it on social media. When I watched it on Twitter and I saw the picture from that shop, I'm like, Andy Hillenberg's got something going on. He got DW's approval. This is an awesome paint job and well worth the Jack Harrison Trophy for winning the best throwback scheme tonight.
Let's take a look at the Auto Park It replay of what happened to Ed Pompa down there in the corner, and that was right in front of Ty Gibbs. Close call for the leader of this race in the 18.
And a good call by Brett Holmes to also move past as he just got lapped. So Brett Holmes will get the lucky dog. We'll see that driver, who is as high as 2nd tonight, get another crack at lead lap status when we go back to green flag racing.
Here's what's interesting. Just talking to Dave Foster, our producer, and we didn't even notice that 5th place running Brett Holmes is actually registered a lap down. He will get the free pass and be back on the lead lap.
This will also give all the teams a chance to pit. Will Eckes stay out?